Next up is Jane Byers Goodwin, who writes the blog Shice Weekly. Teaches people to blow things up, play 6 degrees of separation with the universe, and to not die with their stories untold. She doesn't suffer fools gladly and doesn't think you should either. And world peace. Please join me in welcoming Jane as she reads Dick Clark and Our Sofa.
Dick Clark has died. This will make little difference to most of you, save that your New Year's Rockin' Eve will be hosted by someone else now. But to me, this is another one of so many things lately that I call the end of my childhood. When my sister and I were little, my parents used to roll up the rugs and dance to American Bandstand. Teresa and I would sit on the couch, the buckles of our Mary Janes catching on the upholstery and pulling out long oval threads until we kicked and broke the thread. Our couches always had long threads waving about in the breeze from the 2 open screened-in windows in summer or the breeze from the registers in winter. Our sofas, when this sister and I were little, always looked like something that had been rescued from the sunken Titanic, infested with tendrilled sea creatures. We loved watching Mom and Dad dance. Occasionally, they had friends over, and all of them danced. We had records and a player at home and a radio, but they didn't dance to those. They danced to American Bandstand. I overheard Mom say to a friend once that American Bandstand makes me feel like I'm at a party. I think it had that same effect on a lot of young people back then. Mom and Dad would have been in their 20s during this period, 2 20-somethings with 2 little girls. And I know now that those 2 little girls were the reason Mom and Dad did their dancing at home and not at a real dance. Except that watching them laugh and dance, swirl and twirl in our living room, rolled up rugs leaning in one corner, rock and roll music blaring from our black and white TV, I realize now that these not all that long out of their teens young parents were at a real dance. As for my sister and I, sitting on that couch, legs so short they were sticking straight out, picking upholstery threads with our shoe buckles and breaking those threads right and left with our wiggles, we were like old-time movie children watching the ball from between the banisters. It was as if those dancers were someone else, not Mommy and Daddy, someone from the TV dance, laughing and jiving like real people who weren't parents at all. Like American Bandstand people, magic people on the TV screen, only in living color ahead of its time, not black and white. Dick Clark made that happen. It wasn't just on TV that he encouraged young people to dance and exposed them to new music. He did those things for people in living rooms, too. Our living room, our Southern Indiana living room, where the American Bandstand theme music caused rugs to be rolled up, mommies and daddies to kick off their shoes and rock the Casbah, and little girls to turn a sofa into a mess of fringe. I was reminiscing about American Bandstand with my mother. She looked at me and said, "Your father had 2 left feet." But I never noticed it when we danced. All I noticed was his hand on my back. Thank you, Dick Clark. In my heart, you'll always be young. You know, like you appeared to be, even when you were old enough to be a grandfather. Like the picture of Dorian Gray. To me, you're not a New Year's Eve host or a game show host. You're Dick Clark of American Bandstand, teaching the world to cut loose and dance and encouraging us to listen to new and different music. I'd tell you to rest in peace, but I know you never wanted that kind of peace. Crank it up to 11, angels. Dick Clark is in the building now.